Okay, so today we are going to change directions. Until now, we have been discussing what we can learn about what the world offers us in terms of different expressions of our taiva. And we talked about marriage, and we talked about porn, and we talked about relationships outside of marriage. And I think that got very clear. Today, I want to address the problem that even if a person has very clear what they want to choose, and they've decided they can distinguish between tov and ra, they've decided that, let's say, porn is ra and this is tov, or they decided that marriage is a way of going and not relationships outside of marriage, we'll still find that people will still fall. And they will fall and do things that are against their own morals and values. And the world calls this an addiction. But I think that there's a much deeper understanding of the entire process. And the more understanding we have, the more effective we can be in actually mitigating it. Excuse me 1 second. So I'd like to do a little exercise. And through the exercise, I think we'll begin to understand ourselves better. And it's always about being self-aware. So the more self-aware you are, the more impactful you can be on your own decisions. And when the more self-aware we understand, we'll begin to understand why it is that we're being pulled to things we don't want. And I think there's a deeper question, which everybody probably asked themselves at one point, is if a 13-year-old is full of desire, what is the point of all that desire if, technically speaking, they can't actualize it until they're mature enough? And in this generation, 19, 20, 21, 25, 30, what is the point of all of this taiva in the interim? Where does it, if it's only going to bring us to places like Zara Levatala or relationships that are not building us, what's the point of this desire? That a good question? Okay, so there's only 5 people in the room, which is 4 people in the room really, but which is a little bit of a less of an expression of what this exercise proves, but we'll see where we can take it. So what I'd like everybody to do is bring to mind an experience where they had recently, where they were drawn to negative expressions of sexuality. What I want you to notice is the experience beforehand, before you plunged into it for hook, line, and sinker. I want you to notice where you were holding. And where you were holding, I want you to identify within 3 different categories. Category number 1 is, what are you feeling? Category number 2 is, what are you thinking? And category number 3 is, what did you want? Now, to explain this, and this is again only comes with listening. If you don't listen to yourself and you don't give yourself permission to talk without any judgment, it's literally impossible to hear these things. But what you can identify is feelings. Feelings are always a shadow of a thought. And feelings are very simple. They're not complicated. They're happy, sad, scared, angry, frustrated, calm. Maybe there's a few others that you can use, but they're pretty simplistic. And if they're complicated, they're not feelings. And usually when people talk about feelings, they talk about thoughts. And I always ask them, when you think this, what are you feeling? And then every feeling is a shadow of a thought. So you can identify what are you thinking. And sometimes these thoughts are hidden. They're subconscious. And we only notice them after we notice the feelings. Oh, hey, wait a minute, I'm scared. Oh, well, I didn't realize I'm scared. What am I scared about? Well, I'm scared this person's judging me. And they wouldn't have thought about that until I listened to the feeling and let the feeling lead me to the thought. So it's very powerful to let ourselves feel, and then afterwards find out what we're thinking. And last but not least, at all not least, maybe even the most important, is a thought is always about a ratzon. It's always about something that a person wants, a desire. And the thought is, will this desire happen or not happen? What about this desire is going up? So if we use these categories and we become self-aware, what are we trying to figure out? We're trying to figure out what's pulling me. What is my desire? The definition of a desire is something lacking. What's lacking in me that pushed me to go to a place of negative sexual expression? Is that clear? Any questions on the exercise? Okay, so I'd like to give you all an opportunity of a few minutes to just think about this, and I would encourage you to close your eyes and breathe and feel. And you can take a recent experience, you can take a different experience. It's not so important what you take. Aaron, was herzig. I gave them an exercise to do. That's why everyone's quiet, Aaron. Maybe I'll wait another minute, and I'll someone else is going to come in, and then I'll explain to both of you. So Aaron, I gave them the exercise to think of the last time you were exposed to a negative expression of your taiva that pushed you to do things you don't believe are good for you. To notice what you were thinking, what were you feeling, and what did you want at that point. Okay? Feelings are often a very good way to get in touch with thoughts that I'm not aware of, like subconscious thoughts. And a thought is usually around the desire itself. So David and Yaakov, I don't see you. I can't tell you if you guys are ready. You ready? You ready, Menachem? Okay.
Yeah.
So, would anybody like to share? Not necessarily what they did, because that's not relevant to anybody. But what is relevant, you'll notice the feelings and the thoughts and the needs are very, very similar. So go for it, Yaakov.
Hi, Rabbi, you called on me?
Yeah, you said you wanted to share.
Yes, please, yeah.
How are you, Yisrael?
Hmm?
Sorry.
Oh, you saw? Hi. Yes, so for me it was today. The whole day, basically. I woke up with this feeling as well. And I think I've been feeling this feeling for the past few days. Since Friday, actually, I think. And I've been feeling anxious. I woke up this morning anxious. I did a meditation that hardly helped. It really didn't help, but well, it kind of worked, but not really. And I went to the gym, and I was doing weights and all that, and just the whole day, no matter what I was doing, no matter how I could take my mind off things, it was just a feeling of anxiousness, of anxiety, without much thinking, and OCD as well, as a result. And I realized that the thought that was going through my head, and by the way, the whole day I wanted to watch porn, like very acutely, very, very strongly that I wanted to. And I realized that basically I'm on a dating website. I'm looking to get married, and I'm on Saw You at Sinai, which is like a dating website. I think you guys probably would have heard of it. And I was suggested a match, and I was interested in this match, and so I accepted. And this was Friday morning, and now it's Sunday night, and I haven't heard back from her if she is interested or not, she wants to meet me or not. And I've been feeling anxious the whole time. This is like, this kind of like it's always been it's probably always been at the back of my mind the whole time since Friday. And the thought going through my head, I realized, is I want this girl, meaning I want to meet her. That's my ratzon. I want to meet her. I want to chat to her. I want to get to know her. She's a good-looking girl, and things are working out on the profile, at least written. The on paper things look right. And the thought I'm thinking is, she's not going to want me. And I've had this history of I've had many crushes in my life, and every single one was unrequited. Like they didn't feel the same way, and it's taught me this thing of no girl that I want is gonna want me. Or no girl that I want is gonna want me as much as I want them. And I have very strong feelings. I'm Sfaradi, I'm very passionate. So I just when I want someone, when I want a girl, it's like Romeo and Juliet. It's mad. But we're all men, we all have these feelings. And so I feel that no girl that I want is gonna want me as much as I want them. And it's made and when I realized that thought, or actually when I saw the outline of the course, and I saw under this shiur tonight all the things we'd be discussing, and then I realized the thought that was going through my head, I was like, oh wow, that's the thought. And then suddenly I got attacked with a tava to watch porn, a really strong drive to watch porn. And I said, I'll wait half an hour until we get here and see what we have to say here. But that was my experience.
Okay, so excellent. So let's look at this. The feeling is anxious, worried, scared. Okay, anxious really means scared. Just an exasperated feeling of scared. So I'm scared. What am I thinking that makes me scared? I'm thinking that I'm not. Now, you said I'm thinking I'm not going to get this woman, but this woman is just an example. It's not that you really want this woman or meet this thing. What you really want is to be loved. And you're thinking that I will not get love. I will only want to be loved, and the love that I put out will never come back. And the desire you have is to be loved. Now, this desire to be loved suddenly drives you to watch porn. That's pretty strange. Why would it drive you to watch porn?
You asking me?
I'm asking everybody to think about it, because it's not you're not the only person in the world who goes through this. Exactly. And it's something to notice that when we men doubt that we are going to be loved, we look for an experience of sexual feelings. Why is that? I think
Because we want to cover a feeling of loneliness.
How would that cover the feeling of loneliness?
Because if you're watching porn, in a way, you feel you satiate a part of yourself that you don't, maybe a pain or an anxiety that you don't want to deal with. So like, I don't want to feel lonely in the moment. So like, this meets my needs.
Okay, so I think you're saying, what I don't think is accurate to say is that people look for pleasure to numb pain. I think that's a very superficial way of saying it. What I think is more accurate is that intuitively we all know that the place we're going to feel the most experience of love is through a sexual experience with a woman. So naturally our desires are connected. When I'm looking for love, I look for a sexual experience.
Can I, in terms of the format, I don't quite get the equation. There was anxiety, a feeling that no one's going to really be interested in him giving back love, and there's a turning to porn. But what I don't understand in the formation of how you set it up was that the porn is going to be a substitute, which we haven't understood, we don't understand yet, of some expression of love. I'm missing love, I'm looking for love. Why isn't it at the very beginning of the anxiety? Why isn't it just a response to I'm feeling anxious, and maybe the porn will help me relieve my anxiety? Why is it an expression of love as opposed to a response to the anxiety?
Right. So this is exactly what I'm trying to mechaded, to add over here, is there are people who out there think that when people have feelings, right, so they're anxious is uncomfortable. Well, let's go find something comfortable. And they look at it as just a sum total of pain versus pleasure. And the reason why that doesn't get you anywhere is because until you really solve what's missing in your life, you'll still look for it. And so in that thought process, you'd say that every time a person is going to have anxiety, right, they're going to always run to pleasure. So how are you going to solve the problem? Don't be anxious. But if you go deeper and you listen to yourself, you're self-aware. And it's not only, I didn't do any guesswork. He spoke it out all alone. And your insides will always speak it out. He said that the feeling is from a thought, because every feeling is from a thought. And the thought was, I'm not going to get loved by a woman. And what that thought is always about, because a deep thought is always about a desire, is that I am looking to be loved. So really what that means is that the desire that is pushing him to watch porn is not the feeling of anxiousness. Anxiousness is a siman that there's something off. Feelings are not the thing on its own. Feelings are just street signs. There are street signs that tell you things are good or things are bad. Things that should be continued and things shouldn't be continued. If it's scary, go do something. If it's painful, go do something. If it makes you angry, go do something. It makes you happy, stay there. But what's there? That you have to go deeper. And when you go deeper and you start thinking and feeling, you realize that a desire called needing love, which means the core desire that is pushing this person to look at porn is his desire for love. Now that helps us a lot, in a lot of ways. First of all, it helps us to know how we can solve the problem. Because if he's lacking love, fill him with love and he won't look at porn. But I want to bring out a deeper point, because if we see the entire picture, we'll understand what level we need to fill this person with love. Where does he need love? Because you could think, well, he needs love, so let him get married. He's not going to get married, he won't have love. Okay, he's stuck. Right? But that's also very superficial. Very superficial. But first I want to point out, to understand the depth of it, why is it that when we feel a lack of love, a desire... Did I answer your question, Rav David?
So whatever. I see it's in process. I'll hold on.
Okay. So, when I have a desire for love, why is it that we suddenly think of a sexual experience? Well, if a woman is willing to be with you and connect to you in a sexual way, you feel a tremendous amount of love. So it's intuitive to have a sexual experience to look for that feeling of love. So you turn on the screen and you're looking for that sexual experience, but it's a superficial looking for something. It's a klipa. Your desire is looking for something that thinks it will get it, but won't get it. Now I ask you, Yaakov, after you finished, I'm sure you haven't done it in this situation yet, but I'm sure you've had other previous experiences where you finished watching porn. How did you feel?
Gutted. I don't know, like a regret or empty. And the thought would always come to my head that this isn't. The thought would always come to my head that this is not what I want, and I don't have what I want,
Right.
and I'm still alone, and I'm still where I was before.
The hunger, this is what people call an addiction. The hunger wasn't satiated. There was a hava amina, there was an experience which the reason you did it was because you thought it would satiate you. And it left you actually now even more hungry, because now even that hope is gone. Right? So now you are tempted to be saturated and you're not. And now you're hungry and you're more frustrated. Like, where is this? You're feeling it even more painfully. And this is why people go back and do it again and again and again and again, because you feel like something's missing. And if they were self-aware enough to realize what was missing, they wouldn't go do it again, because they would realize exactly what you said. This is not what I want. So that's why being self-aware, first of all, is a very powerful thing. But even deeper than that, it's also the reason why there's a solution. Because why do you think, the way you said it was so perfectly beautiful. You said, I have a belief system that the woman will always love me less than me. The women I want, they won't want me. Now, if you listen to that belief system, you realize it's not actually about the practicality of having love or not. It's practically about the belief system, what will happen. The belief system about your desire dictates your experience now. What do I believe is going to happen? I believe I will not get love. In the lashon of the Torah, we recognize it's called yush. It's a belief system of you're not going to get what you need. There's no hope. That experience is what drove you to look at porn. I want you to imagine for a second, and use your imagination over here, okay? Imagine that you knew 100%, you had nevuah, that a woman was going to come into your life and love you as much as you love her, if not more. You were 100% convinced. She's not here yet, half a year. Would you want to watch porn?
I could definitely hold myself. Definitely.
You see that it's not about the actual experience of love. It's about the belief system of love. And this is why it's so important. This is why your neshama, your nefesh, is pushing you to have this nisayon. Because let me tell you a little secret. If you would have a woman in your bed next to you, and you have this belief system, the relationship would have exactly the same problem. Because there will be some kind of trigger which would tell you that she doesn't love you the way you love her, and you'd be exactly the same space. It's irrelevant whether you're in a love relationship or not a love relationship. When you have a belief system that you won't get love, being in a relationship will not help you. And when you have a belief system that you will get love, being outside of a relationship won't bother you. It's what Chazal called pas bisalo. They're using it in a different context, but it's the same idea. When a person feels safe, they feel that the desire that they need will happen, they're willing to wait. There's nothing wrong. When they feel challenged, they feel threatened that the basic need they have won't happen, then they start going to anxiety. And the point of all of this desire inside of you is in order to help you develop your future relationship. Because right now there's something is not betikun in your being. You have a belief system which will prevent you from having a full-blown relationship, even if you have one. So it's right now threatening you, bringing up, it's giving you issues. The point of those issues are for you to realize you need to do tikkun on the belief of love. And when you do tikkun on the belief of love, that what you're doing is bringing yourself closer to being able to make a bris with a woman. And the siman of that is the fact that you can keep your bris, your shomer, your bris. The fact that you have desires that push you away from the hadzer levatala or do things that push you away from bris is a siman, is a sign there's something not perfect in your insides which prevent you from having a relationship. And that's what's happening. It's a derivative. The fact that you're looking for porn, the fact that you're looking for women who you're not married to, is something. There's a sign that something is not right inside, and that nisayon, that push, is supposed to teach you look inside and grow, find the issue, and solve it by believing in love. When you believe in love, when you have a beautiful wife, then your relationship will flow and your relationship will continue. And you will have times when things, maybe you're in a fight or things that you did something wrong, you'll still believe that she loves you. And if not, that will be a big threatening point to you.
But then how, let's say in this situation, how just like, how would simply resisting watching porn with this thinking inside of myself, like, yeah, I know that this is the thought, and no, it's not true, and I try and convince myself that it's not true, this belief system, and then I resist watching porn. How does that actually make a lasting change?
No, it doesn't. The resisting porn and the not resisting porn is completely not the point. That's why I'm telling you, it's not relevant. It's relevant that it'll mess up your mitos in a different way, but the point is your belief system about believing in love. That's the point. And you're going to have to make a shift, a real shift, and I can talk to you about how to do that. We'll talk about that also. But the shift point is just a sign. It's just a red light. There's something up with my being. My mitos are not betikun. I want to watch porn. Let's go find out what it is.
So I think that's my question. My question is, how would I make that shift?
Excellent. So that's a good question. How? Let me just phrase it. When we say we have nisyonos of tikkun habris, nishmiras habris, it's not about the shmira. It's about the tikkun. It's not about preventative. It's about what do I need to develop inside of myself that facilitates me to be able to make a healthy relationship. Always. You're going to see it in every single situation. Now, everybody who is in a relationship needs to be able to believe in the love that's coming to them. Whether it's with Hashem, whether it's with your parents, whether it's with your wife, whether it's with your kids. If you don't believe in the other person's love, you will not be successful in having a loving relationship with them. Now, we can talk about how does a person shift their belief systems in love, and the truth is that is one of the most important steps in Tikkun HaBris, is the ability for a person to develop the skills of believing in love. I can't explain to you how much of the nisyonos that people have day in and day out in their lives, the destructive qualities that happen in their lives, the things they do, their relationship with Hashem, is completely impacted by their assumption and their belief system about love. And I want to extrapolate on it a little bit more. We have a lot to cover. But before I do that, I want to know if everything at this stage so far is clear.
Rabbi, can I add something to that?
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I just want real quickly, I relate to Jacob's story, and like for me it wasn't going to porn. I was able to withhold them for like 3 years now, but for me it was chasing, right? So if I see a girl that I like, it was the obsessive thing of chasing. So for me, like the conflict was, I don't want porn anymore. Like I my brief, but like what you're saying, you touched on the point that I realized I did not believe in love. So like I just wanted to add that.
Right. It's not. There's many reasons why people choose porn over women or women over porn, and that's something to look at inside of yourself. It's something to learn about yourself, right? But again, it's just the same thing. I think if I'm going after relationships that are not going to advance me, and I know they're not going to advance me, and I've thought about it and I decided I really don't want to do this, and I'm still doing it, you have to wonder why. Rav David, is anything clearer now at this point?
Yeah, I feel like I'm an old man over here. I don't get the jump from love to porn.
Why would a person who's looking for love look for porn? That's the question? Okay, because the natural experience where a person searches out the most love is when they feel a sexual experience. Because the truth is that in the highest place of intimacy was the person feels the highest degree of love. So when they're searching and they want an assurance that they have love, they're looking for that powerful experience to deliver that. It's something which is ingrained in a human being, that sexuality gives them a feeling of love. Even though you're right that if they look at it for 2 minutes and they see that the love they're looking for does not happen unless there's another person on the other side, they will crack it, right? But they have to be enough self-aware to realize they're looking for love, and then realize, wait, this actually will make me feel hungrier. And then they can crack it. And that's why it's extremely important to get people to understand what they're looking for. Now, it doesn't solve the problem. Being self-aware is a beginning. But solving the problem is the tikkun amidos of actually being able to believe in love. And I do want to continue that point. I just want to make sure if anybody has any questions.
Yeah. I would say that it's so far this making a lot of sense, except for one thing that I think there's an aspect that's not just about looking for love in terms of like that. Even though yes, at the end of the day, after someone watches porn or whatever, they're gonna end up regretting it, and they're gonna feel that they're still in this terrible place where they're still just looking for love. They're still, but there is also an aspect where, okay, but there's a more physical aspect or whatever, where yes, but for the next few hours or whatever, I'm okay, or more okay than I was before, and I'm not going crazy wanting to do this. So that I feel like is a little bit of a separate issue, maybe, or how does that exactly fit into this?
Okay, so what we're going to go through is you're going to see there's quite a number of desires that people have that pushes them to do things, right? The one you're talking about is a very physical-based desire of having a release, right? And that could be if you have a lot of energy built up and you have a release, it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going crazy anymore, okay? And we'll get to that. And just because one person has an experience that's very real and people resonate with that doesn't mean it's the sum total of every things that a person experiences. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is because it's not the only tikkun they need to do, not the only improvement they need in their midos in order to have a relationship, a fulfilled relationship. So there are going to be other things that are to come up for a person that'll drive them either to fix themselves or go to negative places that we're going to discuss each one. Okay? So he picked that one, so I went with it. He could have picked something else and I would have went with that too. But I do want to relate to the point that you're bringing, Yaakov, is how does a person heal on the desire, the need for the belief of love? And this is one of the most important healings that any of us can do in this world.
Well, Rabbi, sorry, just one thing though. You're saying that believing in love, when you say believing in love, you mean believing in the capacity to be that I can be loved. That's what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks.
So the way human beings operate is that the first place that they learn their belief systems is, of course, their parents. Every single interaction with a child, a parent must know, teaches the children an entire belief system. In fact, Rabbeinu Bechaya says in the beginning of Parshas Vayeshev that there's many different steps in bitachon, and the first step that a person develops bitachon on is when they nurse. Because when they nurse, they see they can trust their mother when they cry that they'll get food. And so on and so forth. All the definitions, their father provides for them, all kinds of different steps that have everything to do with the human experience. This teaches them all about how life really works. Much more powerful than anything they ever learned in any sefer or anything they ever thought about. The experience of life, especially at a young age, will form a person into their belief systems. And therefore, the first and foremost experience of belief and love has to do with your experience as a child. And through those experiences of a child, you have beliefs that may tell you that, you know what, as because I had this happen to me all this time, that's what's going to continue to happen. Now, the thing is that all of the things that ever happened to a person in the past are always in the past and absolutely do not have to dictate what happens in the future, right? The fact that a person had no money for a year doesn't mean they won't have money tomorrow. Right? All kinds of things can change. But naturally our belief system goes that we assume that chazaka de meikar, that whatever it was, will be. Unless we interfere. We are B'Tselem Elohim, we are creative beings. We can actually create our future to make it different than our past. But we have to do that. It's an active process. So whatever belief systems people have from life experience, that is just raw materials for growth. Every single person can decide how their future is going to look if they're going to have an experience of believing, trusting in love or not. Now, what is the makar of love in the world? The world, Hashem. The highest experience of love that we have is the fact that we exist. We consistently exist for absolutely no reason. We didn't do anything to deserve it, and we won't ever do anything to deserve it. He's constantly creating us. Which means that there's a very huge opportunity for all of us to experience love in a very healthy way by just being alive. Now, we can also experience it in a very unhealthy way by believing in what a lot of people believe in their religious beliefs, that God created them for his own agenda, and he expects you to do what he wants to servitude for him, and if you don't, he'll beat you over the head, right? There's a lot of people who believe that, and those people it will be impossible for them to believe in love, because you cannot believe in something that is greater than the world itself. You cannot believe in something which is greater than God himself. So the first place we need to look to heal the belief in love is to understand and to notice inside, what do I believe about this world? Is this a gift to me? A loving gift? Is my breath an act of love? Or is it some kind of plan that I have to do stuff for somebody else? That's fundamentally the most important question you can ask yourself, and it will fundamentally change your life. And it's madregas and madregas of how much a person experiences this world as a loving act will put them in a place of believing and understanding how much love there is in the world. Which is why there's so much hadgasha in tefillah about looking at Hashem in the right names. Hakel, Hagadol, Hagiba, Va'anore, Elyon Kodesh. Why in the world are we at, what does he need? Like, he need this from us? Like he's hungry to hear all of our words? Like you got to say it again and again and again and again. Obviously it's for us, because we have doubts about all these things. And the more we meditate and the more we experience and embody these concepts, the more our belief system changes and we live the world like that's true. Because a person with their belief systems is a powerful being, and what you believe is your truth. So if you believe that you're not loved, and Hashem has an agenda for you that is for Him, you will live like that. And you will experience the world. People will also be like that for you. And if you believe that the world is a loving act of gift and kindness for your pleasure, then you will see people who are also connect to you just like that. So the first and foremost way to work on healing the belief in love is to spend time experiencing Hashem, experiencing the world, experiencing all of the gifts that happen in the world. And I don't mean that you got the bus and you got saved from the terrorist attack and whatever it is. I mean breathing. I mean the sun. I mean the sense of touch, the enjoyment of life. To be able to just experience every single day, that experience of feeling that love will fundamentally change you in ways that nothing else will change you in the entire world. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have to work on the same thing with people, because you still might have to learn how to trust people. But when you are experiencing an entire universe of love, then it's not so hard to experience this microcosm human being, which is a tiny part of that world, also as an experience of love. And you can start believing it and seeing it in people. And some people might not deserve that. But the people who do deserve that, you can find it in them. But to start with just working on people, without working on Hashem and the universe and the world, how the world relates to you, is basically trying to hold back a tsunami with in a toothpick. It doesn't work. You have to deal with the most strong experience of love there is in the world and believe in that, or don't believe in that. Which is why the beginning of the Torah starts, Anochi Havaya Elokecha. That the shorish of everything is Havaya. What is the difference between Havaya and Adni? Right? The source of all life is by definition a loving gift. And Adon can have his own agenda. But if he's the source, why am I here? It's the place where we experience pure love. And the more we teach ourselves and teach people around us to experience the world like that, the more you will not feel the same loneliness, Yaakov, and you won't have the same belief system that you won't be loved by a woman if you actually are experiencing every single day is, wow, I'm alive, he's loving me. So why wouldn't the love flow into giving you a woman also? Now I'm saying words, and the words are just to give you an idea. The idea is not belief. Belief is an experience. Belief is something that you cannot transfer to somebody. It's either true or not true. But I'm giving you the key to work on life, believing love, is first and foremost from Hashem. Hashem, and also your neshama for yourself, if you want to say it like that.
And basically what you're asking of us to conceptualize, or what you're asking of us to internalize is, I don't know how to put this, sorry, I'm just there a little bit. But you're basically illustrating, you're basically telling us to receive God like a woman receives a man.
Emes. The main thing Hashem wants from you in this world is to receive Him. He wants to give. We block. Don't block, and he'll be very happy. The Ramban writes that in the end of Parshas Bo. He says the main kavanah we have in Yitzir Yishona is we say Briosecha Anachnu. All of the whole point of tefillah is for us to realize, wow, He really is giving me. And the second we do that, that makes the shefa come in, because the only reason it didn't come in is we blocked it.
Are
Any questions?
you
Gratitude is an experience that comes through when you understand and believe that there's a gift. You can look at the world and you can see painful things, and you won't have gratitude because you believe there's no loving gift. The belief is what allows the gratitude to happen. Now, some people like to do it in a way that it's superficial. They say, okay, well, I feel really bad inside, but I'll say, thank you, Hashem, thank you, Hashem, thank you, Hashem, and that'll work as gratitude. But that's very superficial because you don't really think thank you, Hashem. You're really upset, and you're using words to push these things down. But if you really go inside and say, wait a minute, what do I think about my life? Is my life a gift? Is my life an act of love? That's a pretty good question. Because if you don't believe it is, why do you think you're going to believe in anybody else's love? Kol d'mamadaka nishma.
Yeah, one thing I want to ask about that is believing, let's say that God gave you everything you have, meaning and that it's this act of love. But let's say you feel like you're getting more than you deserve, or like you. It's weird because I feel like it should be that, oh, well, if I don't deserve it, then that's even more of a reason why it's love. But it's like, it still feels like, I don't know, like I always feel like I have this thing that I need to earn it in some way, that I like.
Or else.
Well, I guess really, or else I don't feel good about myself.
Okay. You don't like receiving things that you didn't
get it, but
you don't like receiving things that you didn't earn.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. That's a very, very important thing. We're going to get to that next. That's very important. That's a real feeling that basically everyone can come in contact with, which is the entire reason why Hashem gave us Bechira, in order that we shouldn't have that feeling. Because that feeling would really stink. If we had all this experience of love and we didn't deserve it, we wouldn't feel at all good about it. So he gave us Bechira in order to deserve the relationship. But deserving the relationship can come in many different forms. It can come in the fact that you actually say, hey, I'm paying attention. I'm noticing. I'm receiving. And you can deserve that relationship. In other words, the fact that people have a belief system that to deserve something you have to work really, really hard and break your head may not be completely true. Something to think about. Any questions? Okay. So, basically what I'm pointing out to you is that if you spend time healing this belief system of love, the nisyonos of tikkun habris, you won't conquer them. They won't be there. You don't need mind over matter. You don't want it anyway. And there's nothing missing in your life, so what's the point? You just don't go there. And if you're feeling a pull, that means it's a time for you to step up the work on that. You said you did a meditation that didn't work. Probably you didn't do a meditation about experiencing love. Because if you did, you probably wouldn't be in the same empty space. Okay, so I want to move on to the next topic. And like I said before to David, that's an experience that is very common, but not the only experience that people have when they feel driven to a sexual experience that's not positive. Just to the guys who came later, what the exercise we did was, is I ask people to bring to mind a experience in which they had a desire to have a sexual experience that wasn't positive, and they even knew it wasn't positive, and they had all kinds of belief systems that they shouldn't do it, and they did it anyway. And I asked them to come in contact with what was going on inside of them on 3 levels: on their feelings, on their thoughts, and their desire. And to use that self-awareness to figure out what's going on with them before they fell. Does anybody have any other thing besides desire for love? Anybody have any other thing that they can pinpoint that they were experiencing that pushed them to a negative place?
I have one.
Mm-hmm.
Just incredible pressure internally and a desire to release the pressure.
You're talking about physical pressure.
Yeah. Well, emotional.
Okay, so what was the emotion? What was the feeling?
Stress.
Excellent. Stress. What were you stressed about? What was the thought that made you stressed?
This is like 7 months ago. Trying to remember.
Again, the point of feelings is just to give us a sign in the road. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Something's up. Go check it out. Then the feeling is irrelevant because you go into the point. You can leave the feeling completely. It's not the point anymore. People get stuck on feelings too much. Feelings are just a way to go deeper inside. So what was the thought behind that feeling of stress?
I think it was, I want to do this, but I know I'm not supposed to do this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What were you stressed about?
I was in Tel Aviv, and I was surrounded by a lot of very beautiful people that I knew it would be a bad idea to pursue.
Okay, so what's stressful?
There was a desire, and I can't do anything.
So you have something that you need, and you can't get it fulfilled.
Yeah.
Okay, what is it that you need? There's already a belief system going on over there, but what is it that you need?
Maybe, some sexual connection.
Connection. Okay, what is connection? What will connection? What's missing in your life? You don't have connection.
Well, that was missing.
Connection.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we talked about before. The need for love. If you felt you had love in your life, would you care?
Probably not as much.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay, great. So that's another perfect example of where you thought in the beginning it was like about pretty bodies, and then you realize, wait a minute, it's not really about pretty bodies. There's going to be pretty bodies over there, so what? Why do I have to be stressed about it? What I'm stressed about is the fact that I feel something is missing in my life that I really need.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anybody else have an experience they want to share? So I'm going to share one that is very common that people always mention to me, and that's I don't feel good about myself. I'm feeling that I'm not good enough, low self-esteem. I'm bad, I'm not successful, I'm a failure. Anybody ever had that experience before? Nah. Okay. Yes, Josh.
No, I'm just saying I agree. I've had that experience.
Oh, yeah. Okay, once in a while, huh? Now, when you had that experience, did you ever, like, want to go look at something that wasn't good for you when you had that experience? Isn't that kind of strange? It's like, I don't feel good about myself. Let's go look at a screen. Well, that'll make me feel good about myself.
Things that are good for me.
What?
Also avoid things that are good for me.
What does that look like?
Like, definitely don't want to meditate right now. Definitely don't want to pray right now. Definitely don't want to call these good friends right now. That'd be a terrible idea.
Okay. So now, why do you think people look at sexual experiences or want to have one when they don't feel good about themselves? Remember, none of your desires are in their core, they're all true. So the fact that you have a netiya, you have a desire to go look at that, is not, there's something there that you think you're going to get that you're not going to get. And I think the answer is obvious. At the place where a man has the potential to be the most successful and the most completed, and the fact that he did the most honorable, amazing, powerful, caring, loving act that he possibly can, is to love his wife. Within the sexual experience, it's possible for a man to become a tzelem Elohim, to become a giver, a lover, a carer, just like Hashem. And every one of us has a deep desire to become ourselves in this world. And we feel very missing if the purpose we came to the world to do does not come actualized. If I have no purpose, or if it's not going to be actualized, is one of the most painful things there is in the world. Because we came into this world to become something through our actions, to be successful, to accomplish. And the biggest accomplishment that I can possibly be is bringing myself out from potential to actualization. That I want to be a tzelem Elohim, I want to be a giver, a lover, and a producer, and a caretaker. And suddenly I had this opportunity, which is with a wife, that I can do that. Hallelujah. So we all look for a sexual experience in order to find that place of success.
Rabbi, I just have to say, sorry to interject, but for me as well, like, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that turns me on more in a sexual situation than the woman enjoying herself as a result of me.
Of course. That's what Hashem created in us. Just like you can understand from that how much nachas ruach he has when we enjoy him. Right?
Yeah.
So, this is why when we feel bad about ourselves, we look for an experience, a sexual experience, to lift ourselves up, because that's intuitively a way to find incredible accomplishment. Now, why is it important to know what the push is? Again, because if you don't fulfill that desire in your life, you won't be satisfied. And you will continue to look and look and look until you're blue in the face, because you haven't actually solved the problem. And you can have 49-day fasts, and you can have all the gvura in the world. There's actually something missing. And what is missing? Again, the need of accomplishment. So if a person is in a space where they don't believe in their own accomplishments, they don't believe in their own value, then they're going to need to work on that in order to be able to be shomer habris. Why is that? Because actually, if a person doesn't believe in their accomplishments, they can't successfully hold a relationship. Because if every single time you go through something and you make a mistake, you feel like you are worthless and you didn't accomplish anything, right? How will you hold yourself in connection to that woman as a person who doesn't deserve that connection? And you will create a boundary, a block in the relationship because of your own belief system. You will assume that she thinks things that are not true because you think those things about yourself. So in order for a person to actually be able to be holding a relationship, they need to be able to discern and believe in their own accomplishments. And they need to say, here was the task, I did it, I was successful, I feel good about it, I can go on to the next one. And they can use those same muscles, those same middos, in taking the tasks of loving your wife and building. And there's going to be a lot of steps in that one, and there'll be a lot of mistakes and a lot of things you got to fix. And that's fine. As long as you hold yourself as a person who's accomplished and good and can be successful, then you can deal with that. But if you hold yourself as a person who, when you mess up, it's like, oh, I'm such a loser, I can't do anything, then that's what's going to happen. And you won't be able to be successful to accomplish anything. So this is why it's a precursor. Why your nefesh inside is saying, hey, I don't feel good about myself. There's something up for me. I looking for a sexual experience that's negative because I actually need to feel good about myself in order to have a relationship in the future. So now I know that if I'm desiring bad things, I'm not ready to be in a relationship. Go work on yourself. Does that make sense to you? It's a sign from your own self that you need to improve your middos of connection, specifically in the topic of belief in your accomplishments. Now, how many people over here have felt bad about themselves, and yet they have a lot of things on the side that they actually really did amazing stuff, and they still feel bad about themselves? So it's not even about what you did. It's about what you believe. Now, sometimes you actually didn't accomplish enough and you have to push yourself more, but that's a healthy experience. Like, wait, you know what? I got to work harder over here. But that doesn't shut you down. But the one that shuts you down and makes you feel like you're empty and you need something to pick yourself up to be accomplished is the one that is not true. And that one needs to be, it's a destructive part of any human being and needs to be rectified before a person can go into a relationship. Any questions so far?
You repeat that. I'm sorry, that last point.
I said that belief system that a person thinks that they don't have value because certain things are wrong in their lives, that belief system is a destructive way of living to the point of which it'll block a relationship from actually existing. Because if you believe every time you did something wrong, you don't deserve the relationship, then you will hold yourself distant and you'll believe things about her that she's not even doing because you generate that belief system. So basically, if a person is feeling that they don't have value and they're looking for something to pick themselves up, what they need to be doing is looking at truth about themselves. Wait, what am I? What is my potential? What value do I bring into this world? Am I somebody special? If a person works on those type of wavelengths, then they can be successful. The same way we have to ma'amin ba'Hashem, we have to ma'amin in ourselves. Because you were created one of a kind. There's never been a person in the history of the world that ever been created like you, because why would he? He doesn't waste energy. So you're a one-of-a-kind being. To believe in that and one-of-a-kind potential and one-of-a-kind ability to change the world, that's a pretty valuable thing. If we believe in that and know that, then how much will it impact our state of well-being? And if we don't believe that, how much will we be in the doghouse? Does it really make a difference if we have a woman or doesn't have a woman? Is that really what's going on? In other words, the sexual desire that people feel is much greater than the physical experience. It's a desire to accomplish, and it can be satisfied in ways that have nothing to do with the physical experience. If you're not feeling accomplished, go find accomplishment in your life and know it and believe in it and enjoy it. And it's like, hey, okay, fine.
Can I ask you, you said one line line you said before that was very counterintuitive. That you said that it sounded like the things that you really are lacking in are not the ones that will make you not feel that you're accomplishing, and it's really the things that you falsely believe you're lacking in that really you're not lacking in.
Yeah. So usually, when people freak out and they look for things to pick them up, is usually when living in a false experience. Because, let's say, for example, the feeling of fear. Okay? The feeling of fear is a very good feeling. Yaakov Avinu needed to feel fear in order to make the whole process of shtei machanos. He needed to know that you got to go to war, and if you're not scared to die, you won't produce properly. Then there's a feeling of anxiety. Anxiety means, oh my God, I'm dead. He's going to kill me. Oh no. It doesn't propel you forward, right? And it's usually based on sheker. Because if it would be emes, it would pull you to a place of productivity. The reason why it's pulling you to a place of non-productivity, because it's not true. It doesn't really have any place to go because it's not emes. So the same thing is true for accomplishment, right? If a person feels not accomplished, so go accomplish something. What's the big deal? It's just pushing you forward. Oh, you know what? I didn't work out today, so go work out today. I didn't, it wasn't nice, so go be nice to somebody. Why? What's the freak out? The freak out is because you don't have anything to do. You're stuck. You're just messed up. That's sheker.
What if you actually haven't been accomplishing anything?
So then go do it.
Right. Let's say you've been trying to accomplish things and you keep failing or whatever, or you don't feel like things are together to the level you want them to be, real. Then and let's say you've been trying to do it and you're not
So then nothing was accomplished in all of your trying? That's impossible, because you're always one step closer. And if there's something you need to accomplish, go accomplish it. You can be in the process of accomplishment. If we're in a healthy space, the fact that I messed up is just a reason to be more successful. The issue is the freak out. The issue is the yiush. The issue is, what does this mean? This means that I'm a failure, right? Which is all based on sheker. Those are the things that belief system is a relationship destroyer. It's a full-fledged ticket to pegam habris. It'll express itself in a physical way. People will look for sexual experiences that are negative. It'll express itself in a way that it'll block a relationship, practically speaking. But it's all about the same thing. Here's this desire that I have that is expressed in sexuality, the need to accomplish, the need to be good, the need to be caring and giving and loving, and I can't do it. Oh my God, I can't do it. That's it. I'm going to find a place where I can feel it, even though I didn't do it. If you felt you were in a process and you felt you were building and you're going to do it, what's the big deal? Does that resonate?
What's the connection between? Sorry, Dave, go ahead. What is the connection between craving a sexual experience and feeling some inner lack of self-worth because you're not accomplishing?
Because the sexual experience offers you the ability to accomplish in the ways that nothing else in the world offers you to accomplish. It's the place where you have the most full expression of giving, caring, sensitivity, loving. Is that not true?
You're not craving it in that kind of way. You're probably craving it in more of a perverted way.
Well, you see, that's what you have to understand about desire, is that the core desire is always good. And the expression of why we go to something is not stam. It's not that the fact that I ran after sexual experience doesn't mean I'm completely crazy. I may be misinformed in the way that I plan to do it. But what I'm looking for makes sense that I would go over here because there's a potential of that desire being expressed. Oh, that makes sense?
So we go there because on some level we recognize that the potential to scratch the itch of not feeling good enough is available in the highest form in the sexual experience, but we're not in an inner place of wholeness where we can hold that experience in that way, so it gets all messed up and messy.
Right, and that's why it comes out in a very messed up version of sexual experience, because you're actually